Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logicfxtrading, and welcome to our weekly FX analysis. Today's Monday, the 17th of January 2022. Okay, guys, let's just start with the yen, which we have been doing recently because of this nice move we've been seeing. What we said last week was we'd get a pullback, and from there we would get a push down. It's actually come up a little bit further than I expected. There's possibly a little running flat there on a lower time scale than this, obviously. But I'm still expecting this to drop from here. And that was our initial target for the yen. When we get to there, then maybe we'll need to start thinking about trading it back up again. But let's wait until we get there and see the reasons why it's got to there before we decide what to do. Just on the DXY, yet again, if you've been listening over the last lot of weeks, I've been saying this is a flat correction, needs to break the bottom before it takes the next leg up, guys. And that's exactly what we got last week. And I'm now trading the dollar in that direction, not on the index, but on the euro and the Aussie. The only two currency trades I have on at the moment, guys, but they're both nicely in the green. The thing about using Elliott or using technical analysis is, guys, that often you don't see the reason fundamentally why something would happen, but unbelievably, the amount of times it works out is incredible. That's not great English, I know, but the point I'm trying to make is that there's an awful lot of times when I say this needs to come to there. I'm not going to trade it there, nor am I going to trade it long until it does that, but I have no idea why it would do it. Next thing you know, there's a bit of news comes out, the market moves in a different direction, and bang, down you go. Our trend for me is still up. I could be wrong because obviously the dollar will reach a peak, and it just depends on how much of the tapering and the increase in interest rates that's going to come this year, and tightening. They're talking about tightening as well. It just depends on how much of that's already priced in, guys. So we're not going to get a full gamut of that because a lot of it will be priced in, but I do see a bit more upside to the dollar. There's the 100 mark that we'd been looking forward to through 2018 and into 2019, and eventually we hit it back in when the pandemic came. In fact, we near enough hit it prior to the pandemic, and then we were about to hit it, and there's where the pandemic happened, guys, and then bang, big reaction back up. And then we got our leg down that we'd been looking for from a way back here, guys. We'd forecast we'd get a pullback and a drop. That pullback was a lot more complex than we thought it was going to be, but nonetheless, we got our drop. And from here, to be honest, from here, I thought it would either run flat or pull back up before we got our next leg down. That's what it's doing, guys. I still think there's a bit more upside to it. Maybe it gets to 100, and then we'll start to look to see what happens with the rest of the world, and particularly with the euro, to see if the dollar can start to come off again. But for now, for this week, guys, I'd be looking to trade that long. Of course, I could be wrong. The important thing for me is, with the trading strategy, is I've got them away from zero. I've got my trades, my stop losses, should I say, on zero. So if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter because it'll hold down. It'll take me out for zero, and I haven't lost any money. But I do think there's at least a move back to there, if not further on up. So let's just draw it in, guys. There's what I think's going to happen. I said the same thing. You can see the arrows, guys, all along, right through here. I had been listening to someone else. I don't often listen to other people, but once in 3-4 months, I'll maybe have to listen to someone else's views just to check and make sure that I'm not completely off key with this stuff. And to be quite honest, This particular person I listened to, I hadn't listened to in a couple of years. I used to value his opinion. I don't value it very much anymore. What he was saying was that that was the break of the top. As you know, when you get a flat correction, you'll get something like that. It'll break the top or the bottom if it was the other way around, and then you'll get the move down. Now, obviously, that can become complex, but often you'll get a break of your highest point before you get your run down. He was saying that was the break. I looked at it and I thought, don't think so. And what I drew in, and you'll see it the whole way through all of these, was I said, listen, we're looking for something like that, and that will be the point at which we start to trade short. If we don't get it and it goes from here, well, that's where cookie crumbles sometimes. What you can do in a situation like that is where you're looking for that, is you can start to trade short from here, guys. And if it goes long, don't panic. Make sure your stop losses are well out of the way. And then whenever it starts to come in, you can add to the position. So you're not taking a big position here, guys. If it comes back up into there, take your, the position you really should have taken in the first place, and then off you go. And as it comes down, obviously you'll get that back into the green and you'll have made some profit there. And if it does continue down past there, as it should well do, then you're into a nice trade, guys. So, it's about having confidence and belief, and it's about trading carefully, not over leveraging, not putting too much into any particular position at any particular time, and then building on those situations where you're right and letting go those situations where you're wrong. Okay. So I'm looking for this to continue to drop. I'm not going to drop in a nice straight line, guys. It'll mess around and it'll do different things, but gradually there's the initial target, and I suspect it'll drop further. Pound. Now, with a little bit of strength that's been in the pound recently because I've already hiked the rates, this has come a lot further up than I thought it would. And to be honest, before they hiked rates, I was looking for the pound to start going long. Not as strongly as the dollar, because the UK economy still has problems left over from Brexit. So, we have to keep an eye on that and see how much that affects the UK economy. But nonetheless, I was looking for a move long in the pound. For any of you who, remember back when we were in here, I was kind of saying, well, we're in a flat here. We'll get the break at the bottom somewhere, and then off we'll go. But then it started doing this, so I said, listen, I don't know what's going on. And then they either increased the interest rate, so the call was in around here somewhere, and it kept going down. So I gave up on the pound, guys. But in the meantime, it's done this. So there was a delayed reaction, and it started moving up. For that reason, and because I'm not entirely sure what's going on with it, I would leave this particular trade alone, because I am expecting the dollar to strengthen. But if the pound's going to strengthen at the same time, this could be all over the place, and it might not give you a nice trade. It could possibly, but there are other better things to trade. So I'm just going to leave that alone, guys. Yes, you should get a correction here at least. The thing that you possibly need to be careful of is that you get full blast into this, thinking it's doing that, and it turns out it's just a pullback before it comes back up again. But it should run flat. If there's going to be strength in the pound, it should run flat. So it's not really anything we're looking to trade. This, on the other hand, is different. Way back I drew this. Do you remember, guys? Can't remember where I got it from. Possibly in this somewhere. Anyway, when it looked like this, there's a lot of tools here I don't use very often, guys. Remember this. Right. So when it looked like that, I said, guys, don't be jumping into this. This needs to correct. If it corrects, then we can trade the next leg down. And I went off somewhere and I grabbed this and I put it in and I said, listen, that's the sort of thing we're looking for. Obviously, it's not going to look exactly like that, but that's the sort of nice correction of the right degree of magnitude for that, the length of that impulse down. That looks about right. If you're going to have another leg down, then it's going to come off the back of here. And then I think last week, because of whatever had been underneath it, I said, listen, look for a bit more upside to this before it goes. Now we just quickly run this. Let's put that there. You can see it's making this. It's a flag or a zigzag, or it's a zigzag correction. We had this, and I said, guys, it might go short from here. Be very careful, because you could well have one more up before it goes. And okay, it didn't come as high as I drew it, because you don't know really. You look at the structure, and for me that would be the top, and we're now on our way to moving in that direction. Yet again, it may not go on a lovely impulse. If we're lucky, it will, but if we're not lucky, it could end up hanging around a bit and messing about. Oops, sorry, I got my mouse stuck there, guys. Messing about, but I do believe that eventually it will at least come to there and possibly further down. New Zealand will be the same. Didn't pull as far back, guys. Reason for that is that the New Zealand wasn't as strong as the Aussie at the minute, which you'll see if you go and look at the Aussie New Zealand chart. Still, the alarm's there. That's probably the top. We started the move, and I'm looking for that to do that. At least come to there and probably push further. Yes, CAD. Let's have a look at the oil price. The oil price is looking good, guys. So look, said it would come back up, said it would come back to there, and it's done it. I didn't trade it, you know. Oil's quite expensive to trade, guys, but I didn't trade it. But there you have it. It's another nice call. Sometimes you got to take the praise when it's there, or you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Blow your own trumpet. Right, so what from here? Well, I suspect it will carry on up, but I wouldn't get involved there if it was already in it and at a longer term view. You know, get your stop to zero and hope that it continues to go up. The only thing I would say is when you're in a situation like that, it is entirely possible that you end up running flat for a while before it goes. That could be the breakout, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got something like that before it went again, guys. The only thing is, if you think about it, you know, go and have a look at the futures and things. But without that, just going in from a technical point of view, when you get a double top like that, you'll get a pullback. Won't necessarily come all the way back to there. Maybe a little pullback before it goes. So, what does that mean? Well, if you were to get that, then the CAD would weaken a little bit, and this possibly could go up. The thing I will say is that with the oil price where it is, I wouldn't want to trade against the CAD, so I'd probably leave that one alone. US Swiss. It's been running flat. It's at the bottom of that channel. Possibly it comes back up to there again. I prefer the other ones, guys, but these are, here's another one where we were looking for that to break. That's what we were indicating there. Looking for a break of that before getting involved. I drew it there. Let's just zoom in a little bit. That's what that indicated, guys, a break of that. Obviously, it came deeper than I expected, but nonetheless, that doesn't matter because we weren't trying to trade it down. We said if it drops down into here, breaks that bottom, and then off we go. It's come down, it's broke the bottom. and off we've gone. It would be nice for this if you got a nice flag to get involved in it. It's possibly one of those ones where you could have been brave and got involved there. If you got involved there, get your stop the zero, guys, and let's see where it gets to. Fully expect it to break out the top. So that's the Aussie, the New Zealand, the Euro, and the Swedish krona against the dollar. And this one as well, the yen, same thing. We got the pull back down. Structure's not as nice as with the other ones, but I would suggest from here that this is going to start going long from here, guys. Yet again, over here, it did break out, but at this point, it's saying, unless we're in a double top, if we do a replay to there, at this point, we're coming into a double top. So what I said was, guys, don't buy in there, because in all probability we'll get a pullback away from there, and that will be our setup to go. And if we run it, it did break out, and then there's your pullback, guys. A lot deeper yet again than expected, but nonetheless, there's the first leg back up. So we're on 4 hours here, guys. If, I'm not going to teach you how to, what setups and all are, but for that, if you got a nice little flag there, I'd be looking to get involved in that back up. First target would be there. Obviously, if you're already in it, get your stop to zero and hope that it breaks and goes again. Gold's tricky, guys. I've been saying it for the last year and a half. It's not behaving the way we would have expected it to behave, and therefore you're only guessing if you think you know what it's going to do. And there's a lot of speculation about what's going on with gold. We had the big run up after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, should I say, and then as things got better, it started coming off. And while this was coming off, obviously the stock markets were rushing up. Been running a little bit flat recently. I got involved here. Listen, I got involved down here, took profits, and then got involved in around here again, which wasn't the right move, because it's nearly, how long's that? 9 months now I've been stuck in gold. To be quite honest, if I got back to zero, I would probably get out of it, guys. Oh, I'm not actually trading gold, by the way. I'm gold mining companies. Silver, I am in SLV for the same reason. But yet again, got involved. Would have been May again here. So I'm way off with that one. And then what we said here, one, two, three, four, five, looking for this for another leg down. I don't know if we're going to get it, but if we got that other leg down, I'd probably be a lot more keen to buy into silver there as a long-term thing, guys, because $20 is pretty cheap for an ounce of silver. Silver actually has a more of an industrial use than gold would have, although there is gold in chips or computer circuits, should I say. But more silver would be used, so there is an industrial reason for silver, but I would like to see it coming down and breaking there. Now it has come into there, so it's entirely possible this is the start of the next move. We're not expecting it to shoot off anywhere, guys, but be nice to see it coming up and decreasing that drawdown that I have. Bitcoin, yet again, it's nice to see it when you get something right. When we came in up here and we broke that top, I said, You got to wait for a pullback. If it gets down into that sort of area there, maybe you start to think about buying it back up. We're down there. Do you wait for it to get to there, or do you start to buy in here? Well, from a long-term perspective, guys, maybe you buy a little bit here, and if it drops, you buy a little bit more. And then if it turns there, fantastic. If it continues to drop, you're just going to have to keep buying into it or hold on, guys, because we don't really know, do we, with Bitcoin? There's not some sort of big fundamental motivation behind it. But nonetheless, it's in this upward movement. Entirely possible you get another leg up. So I'm trading this. I'm not actually in it, guys, but it's purely technical. So I'd be careful with it, guys, unless you're really into it and you're prepared for the volatility that it brings. And then Ethereum said the same thing from way up there, guys. When we broke that top, I said this will correct, and it has. I'm looking for it to come down into that sort of region. Maybe I'm being a little bit greedy, because possibly that doesn't look right for me. These things tend to, run in sort of parallels where you can put two parallel lines. Not exact, but, it could possibly do something like that, come to a pinch and then correct before going again. But that's a little bit, I'd rather see it coming down into there and then off it goes. And by the way, I mine a little bit of Ethereum, so I don't want to see it coming down at all. I'm just telling you that if I was going to buy into it, that would be the ideal place for me to start buying into it. Oil, well, we've already discussed oil. I think there's more upside to it, but I'll not necessarily go from there. It may pull back first before going. EuroCAD. Oops, we're on the daily there, guys. Let's get out of the daily. Let's go back to 4 hours. EuroCAD, I think there's more downside to this. As I indicated there, I'd prefer to have had a pullback before it went, for all the same reasons we were talking about with the dollar. From a structural point of view, doesn't necessarily have to happen, but if it did, I'd be keen to trade it down from here. Yes, it could go, but I'm not keen on getting involved there. Euro Oz pulling back. If the dollar's going to strengthen, the euro will weaken, and therefore you could possibly trade the Aussie in the opposite direction as we did against the dollar. But don't be taking both of them, guys. Take one or the other. Euro New Zealand, possibly the same thing, guys. Could see it starting to drop. But yet again, if you were going to trade the New Zealand, I'd trade it against the dollar. The other thing would be that if the dollar calls wrong, then the euro will strengthen, and this would go off in the opposite direction. So don't expose yourself to both. Euro yen. Was looking for a pullback before it goes. There's a bit of a pullback there. Maybe this goes now, but do you know what I will do now? I'll put that over there. Let's say that develops a little bit more. I just prefer trading the dollar, guys. I think that's a better trade. So why would you bother with the euro? But possibly that's going to push on up. Euro Swiss. Impulse pullback, possibly broken out of this this structure. There's your trade. Pound CAD. Both are strengthening. I'm not going to trade that. Pound Oz. Pound New Zealand. I don't know, guys, so I'm just putting well, I think they're both just no. Pound Swiss. Yeah, there's possibly another little leg up there, but guys, look for one or two really good things. And when it's the pound's turn or when it's the euro's turn, that will be the thing we're looking at. But at the minute, for me, it's the dollar. Pound euro, maybe you get a leg down here. I wouldn't try and trade the leg down. But if it did come down, then I would try and trade that back up. Just look at how it's been moving, guys. That's all we're looking for, a technical move back down. Can it break out from there and go? Yeah, it can, but you would need more information than I have. This is what we do here, is basically technical analysis backed up by fundamentals. I don't know all the fundamentals. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But if you have a good knowledge of both, then every now and again you'll see a really good opportunity. And then it's up to you to take the opportunity and trade it in such a way that if you're right, you get maximum profits out of it. And if you're wrong, you limit your downside risk, guys. Pound yen. Yet again, that's probably a little exaggerated. If I got a little bit more down there, would give you a little run back at this situation. Possibly there's more upside to that. Aussie yen, same for this. We're looking for a correction from here, actually. We got one more up. We've had this. I'll just move that arrow across, guys. Looking for that to go long. Aussie New Zealand has been running flat at the minute. I do think that it will break out. But as we always say, when things run flat, I'd prefer to see it breaking that bottom there before going. So I'm not going to try and trade it that way. But if it came down to there, I'd get involved. I've been talking about getting into this for quite a while. I did miss that impulse. And then I noticed it was doing this. So I thought, we'll just get involved. But I didn't have the patience for it, guys. As it were, I'd probably be sitting around zero, having been in it a few weeks. Remember, if you're going to use leverage, which you probably need to do when trading currencies, there's going to be rollover fees and etc. with it. So you don't really want to get stuck in a currency for too long. So I got out of this. But as I say, I do think the next move is going to be long. But I'd like to see it coming down, breaking that bottom first. And then maybe I think about getting involved in it again. Aussie Swiss. I think there's upside to that, guys. I don't necessarily see a setup at the minute, but I do think there's upside. Maybe it just runs up like that. Aussie CAD. Leave that one alone. Don't know anything about it. They're both commodity-based currencies. Swiss yen. Yeah, we're getting a nice pullback. I'd like to see some more. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I'd like to see some more. Possibly it'll end up doing something like that, guys. Doing that and then moving up. But I think the next move's up. CAD Swiss. This is my old pal. I did get involved in this, and yet again, I was stuck in it for a little while, and I just thought, no, got out of it. There's a channel coming down there, and now we've broken out of that. Nice impulse correction. I'd like to see a little bit more. Because obviously, when you get a correction, your first target's going to be your previous high, and then you're starting to look at there. So from there to there is not very far, although we are on 4 hours, guys. I'd prefer to see a bit more downside or a bit more of a development of this zigzag or this correction. You see, often you'll get a move up and then you get something like that. And people think, well, that's the correction, let's go. And sometimes it is, but most of the time that will develop, guys. And sometimes it'll even end up doing something like that before you go. So I'm very wary of jumping in there, that first move, because these can develop longer. And then if they develop longer and come a little bit deeper, you can fib it and then, decide, okay, it's down 38, 50, 61%. Now we're going to look to get in it. The one thing I would say is unless something tragic happens, I can see this going long. CAD yen, same thing. Yet again, bit of an ending diagonal going on there, guys. Not a beautiful one, but nonetheless. Bit of a pull back down. If we got a little bit deeper in this, I would possibly trade it from there. I've got a very good track record with particularly with the CAD Swiss. But yet again, that's about looking for an opportunity, guys. And it doesn't mean that I haven't really traded CAD Swiss through this whole period, guys. But going back into here, I had a 100% record, guys, because basically the drop so low, it was going to go long, and all right, it didn't go long in a nice way. You would have loved to have done that, with a little zigzag and then off, but it turned out very, very complicated. But nonetheless, it was any time it dropped, trade the CAD long. Any time it dropped, trade the CAD long. Drop, trade it long, drop, trade it long, trade it long. Unfortunately, when it got to there, I closed my position, fully expecting it to come off again, and it broke out. And since then, I haven't really traded much, but I did get a lot of trades in there, guys. Every now and again, you'll just see something, you'll see a pattern developing on a higher time scale. Just trade it, guys, not over trade it. We saw our old pal, forgotten his name, I think it was CAD Swiss. It was this he was trading. Any of you been around a while know who I'm talking about. I've unfortunately forgotten his name. So I'm daydreaming a bit here, guys. Back over here. Now, back over here, which was before the pandemic, we were calling CAD Swiss long. It had been in this long channel. We were expecting it to break out. And we had this pullback looking for it to break out. Remember, this is 4 hours. And then the pandemic came, guys. Now, I lost a little bit in here, but the reason I lost in here was I got involved long there. And it kept going. It was stopped out. It was no big deal, but I was a bit disappointed because I was looking for a big rebound here. But this was the day that oil went to zero, below zero. It actually cost you money to hold oil, which was the reason that the CAD dropped so dramatically, guys. But that guy had 42 trades on. I think it was 42 trades. And as it was doing this, he was adding to it and ended up at 100% of his money or thereabouts, all on this. And he was gone. Just like that, guys. So don't concentrate, diversify, Maybe milk it if you're pretty sure about something, milk it. But why on earth he was so sure that that was going to go long that he put all of his money in it, I have no idea. Okay, let's just finish up. New Zealand yen. Yeah, I'd look for that to go long. New Zealand CAD, I would leave that alone. Possibly it's going to push up here, guys, but you'd be trading against the CAD. I don't particularly want to do that. Then New Zealand Swiss. Yeah, it looks like it wants to break down, doesn't it? So be careful of that unless you got a nice move up and then we set up and then off you go. Wouldn't try and trade it long from here because there is always a possibility you get a little push down there before it goes. And when I say a little push, this is on a 4-hour time scale. That would scare you being in the wrong direction. So I wouldn't just trade that just yet, guys. Okay, that'll do us for this week. Bye for now.